Next, we're going to be looking at lines of credit. But first, let's try these questions up here. And if we plug this correctly in our calculator, you should get $503.92. And then for the second one, you should get $1,016.57. Now let's talk about lines of credit. So if we look on the side, it says a line of credit is a revolving credit source, aka one that you can use over and over again, that a bank or business extends to an individual. Interest is payable only on the credit used. So it's very similar to a credit card where it's money that you don't have, so you can borrow some money, but then you have to pay interest on the money that you do borrow. Now, some people use a line of credit when they need cash for a short period of time, and interest is compounded daily and paid monthly. So let's just highlight this here because this is going to be applied to any question we do with a line of credit. So there's a few different types of lines of credits. We got personal, overdraft, and home equity. You could see if they're secured by anything or not. So remember we talked about a collateral. So if you were to borrow money, then you have to say, okay, if I don't pay this money back, then you can take my car or something else like that. Then it shows the credit limits for each of them and the transaction fees. So let's just hop into this example. It says Alicia has an interior decorating business. She has an overdraft line of credit. Each overdraft transaction costs $5 plus interest at 21%. So if you don't know what an overdraft is, that's basically when you have a bank account, a regular bank account, and let's say you get to the point where you have $0 left in your bank account, but you still use your bank card to buy something. So then your bank will go into an overdraft. So that is a line of credit. So you could have an overdraft of, say, $200. I think that's what mine is. So it'll let me spend up to $200 that I actually don't have in my bank account. However, I need to pay interest on that. And then next payday, I would get money back in my bank account and the overdraft would then be gone and I would be back in the positives in my bank account. So on Tuesday, Alicia had 3 overdraft transactions for $83. She paid back the money in 10 days. How much did Alicia pay? So first, let's figure out the transaction fees. So remember, it says that it costs $5 for each transaction. And let's see, she did 3 overdraft transactions. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 3 transactions by $5. So just by doing the transactions, it costed her $15. Now let's calculate the interest. Now, this is where I highlighted up here. It says interest is compounded daily and paid monthly. So if it's compounded daily, that's that 365 number we're going to have to use in our formula. So here's the formula we're all used to. The principal amount that we have here is $83. So we're going to put that. Then the 1 would go here. And then in these 2 blanks, we have to put the interest rate on the top as a decimal. So that's at 21%. So we're going to write 0.21. And then on the bottom, it's the amount of times per year it is compounded. And remember, it's compounded daily. That's what we wrote over here. So on the bottom, it would be 365. And then up here is how many times it is compounded for Alicia's situation. So if it's compounded daily and it says she paid back the money in 10 days, that means that it compounded 10 times because it compounded daily for 10 days. So now you're going to plug this into your calculator and you should get $83.48. Now remember, whenever we use this formula, we are calculating the amount, but we want to figure out what the interest is. So in order to do that, we need to do the amount, and then I don't know why they put less here, the amount minus the principal. So the amount we have is $83.48, and we're going to subtract that principal amount, which was $83 on the nose. So then in the end, the interest she had to pay was 48 cents. So now in the final step, it says how much are the fees plus the interest. So the fees we said was $15. That was for those 3 transactions. And then we're going to add the interest to that, which was 48 cents. So in total, Alicia paid $15.48. And that was because she borrowed that $83 from her overdraft. So that's the interest and the transaction fees she had to pay in order to do that. In the next example, it says Loretta wants to start a carpet cleaning business. She needs a $4,000 line of credit to buy equipment. Interest is 5.75% per year compounded daily. So I'm just going to highlight here compounded daily. The chart shows Loretta's transactions for 1 year. How much interest did Loretta pay on her line of credit? So let's fill in this chart. So the first transaction Loretta did was $3,200 and she paid that back in 98 days. So let's plug this into our compound interest formula. So the principal is 3,200 or 3,200. Then we have that 1 plus, and now our interest rate goes in the blank up here. So that would be 5.75% or 0.0575. And then divided by 365 because it's compounded daily. And then this time frame was 98 days. So since it was compounded daily for 98 days, it would be compounded 98 times. So if we plug that into our calculator, we should get $3,249.78. So then if we calculate the interest from that, we would take the amount minus the principal, and you should get $49.78 of interest. So now let's do the same thing for the next transaction. So the next transaction was $900. Here, I'm going to use a different color. And then this time it took her to pay back was 173 days. So the principal amount this time was $900. The 1 always goes in this blank. And then we put the interest rate up here, which is 0.0575 once again. And the amount of times it was compounded, well, since it's compounded daily and it was for 173 days, that means 173 times it would be compounded. So if we put that into our calculator, you should get $924.86. And then if we calculate the interest, we would have to do the amount minus the principal. So the amount this time is $924.86 minus that principal, which is, this sign here should be a minus sign, I believe. They did a little error. That should be a minus sign. So $924.86 minus $900. So this time the interest is $24.86. And then finally, for our last transaction, we have $1,450 and she paid that back in 67 days. So I'm just going to plug in these values right here. So we have 1,450 as the principal amount. The 1 goes here. The interest rate goes up here once again. And this time it was for 67 days or compounded 67 times. And if you plug that into your calculator, you should get $1,465.38. And then I'll quickly do the interest calculation. So for the last one, the interest should be $15.38. So now let's calculate in total how much interest Loretta paid on her line of credit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add up all those interest numbers. So $49, the $24, and the $15. And of course with the cents there as well. So we're going to have $49.78 plus $24.86, and then finally $15.38. And if we add all of those together, your grand total should be $90.02. So Loretta paid $90.02 of interest on her line of credit.